The Utah Hockey Club drops a tough one tonight to the Winnipeg Jets, shutout 3-0. Probably the toughest opponent they played so far in the entire season. We're going to break down the game, give you our thoughts on that. Stay tuned. The post-game edition here of the Locked On Utah Hockey Club podcast starts right now.
You are Locked On Utah Hockey Club, your daily podcast on the Utah Hockey Club, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
And welcome in, everybody. Tom Callahan here with you. Robin Leonio's got the night off tonight, so you and I breaking it down. Post-game, Winnipeg Jets shut out the Utah Hockey Club 3-0. And this show is brought to you in part by FanDuel. You can start the season with a big return on FanDuel. New customers can place a $5 bet, and you'll get started with $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. Visit FanDuel.com to get started. Tonight, unfortunately for the Utah Hockey Club, the scoring never got started. Shutout by Connor Hellebuyck, his second shutout of the season. And the Jets, just the best team in the NHL right now. And again, I mean, I know I kind of tease Robin and all the other Locked On hosts when I call them my Winnipeg Jets. But, you know, I've been riding this horse since before the season started. This team doesn't allow a lot of goals. And they can score goals and have depth up and down the lineup. It was on display tonight. We are going to hear from head coach Andre Tourigny a little bit later on in the program, his thoughts after the game, his reactions. And it's interesting to really kind of break down a game by periods. I read both sides, accounts from both sides, from both the Winnipeg side and the Utah side. Both sides didn't think they had a great start or a good first period. They didn't think they capitalized on the chances that they did have, which is kind of unusual when you think about how Winnipeg went tonight. And you look at just some of the numbers in this game, shots by period. Winnipeg had 12 shots in the first. That was the most they had in the entire game. They had 10 and then 6 in the third. And for Utah, it was 6, 8, and 7. So the shot disparity right there, I think that is kind of telling here. They don't always tell the story, shots on goal, but Winnipeg was generating chances. Even if from the Winnipeg side, they weren't the grade A's they were looking for, I think that the Winnipeg Jets were just doing better than the Utah Hockey Club. And again, I talk about when both of these teams are playing well, and I thought Utah Hockey Club, for the most part, played pretty well. You give up 2 regular goals and an empty netter to the best team in the NHL, you just can't score. That's still not bad. I thought Utah was about as good as they could be against Winnipeg. Couldn't find a way to beat Connor Hellebuyck. I'll get into some of the reasons why for that a little bit later on. But again, I think, you know, the Jets, even when they weren't up to their par, this is the gap. So Utah plays well, but Winnipeg plays well. So this is the disparity between the division leading, conference leading Winnipeg Jets and your Utah Hockey Club. It's not a bad thing to point this out, but it is important to take note of. So if you want to be that team someday, this is where you have to get to. This is what you have to do. This is your goal. This is the mountain you've got to climb. And I think that, you know, we need to understand that from a fan point of view, from a media point of view, from a team building point of view. You know, being shut out by Winnipeg is not out of the ordinary. They are a very good defensive team. They do take care of their own end. Utah hasn't been generating shots as it is. And that's something I do want to talk about. They just had not been generating the shots. Utah Hockey Club had done a better job filtering pucks to the net, but less than double-digit shots in every single period is not going to get it done. 21 over the course of a game is not going to beat the Winnipeg Jets. With them, it's a volume game. I think Hellebuyck was only really tested once or twice. So also, it's not only the volume of shots, but the caliber of those scoring chances he faced. I don't think Connor Hellebuyck had a whole heck of a lot to do, honestly. I thought that he had an easy night of it for the most part. Made a couple of great stops on a 2-on-1, that was probably the most challenging, and especially because it was back to back on that 2-on-1, the most challenging stops he made all night. But outside of that, I mean, a lot of it was positional. I don't think Utah ever really challenged the Winnipeg goaltender the way they needed to, the way we've seen them do recently against other teams. So, you go into Vegas, you get a point in a very tough building to win in, and on the road, that's that was a tale of two games too. It goes from 3-0 to 3-3, and then you're in overtime. So, there's a good half, there's a bad half, and then in the OT again, it's a coin flip. So Vegas happened to win the coin flip, which is a very Vegas thing to say in a way to describe it, I suppose. But then you go on to Winnipeg, you need to bring your best game. And I'm also going to talk about the goaltending here. I thought that Vejmelka played well. Made some really big saves, especially early on. I think one of the reasons why maybe the Jets side felt like that wasn't their best effort or their best setup for this game was because of how confident and how solid Veggie looked in there making some of these saves, taking stuff away from Winnipeg. For the most part, I know the record says 0-3, but I think Karel Vejmelka has had a pretty good season, especially not playing that much. And Connor Ingram is now rested for the last two games of the trip, if that's the way it goes. Look, Utah's going to need both these guys. They're going to need them both to play well. I thought it was interesting that you start the southpaw against Winnipeg, but maybe you figure, hey, he hasn't played in a while. He's fresh. He might go out there, might steal you a game. And again, I don't fault that power play goal. That was a great tip in front of the net. So that's 1-0. Then a player makes a good move on a deke. And I think that not every goalie is able to stop that either. So it's 2-0 in an empty netter. I didn't have an issue with the goaltending tonight. I didn't think the defense was bad. So that was something else to kind of look at. But that is the gap. Utah played pretty well. They got better throughout the game. They just never found a way to score. And that is the gap between in the playoffs, out of the playoffs, and leading the division, leading the conference. And that was on display here tonight. So I don't think if you're a Utah Hockey Club fan, you feel bad about the way UHC played, but I think you feel bad about the result because that's going to be the result until the team improves. So that's the basis there. Going to get into my pluses and minuses for the game. Also going to talk a little bit about the 7D once again rolled out there. And of course, as I mentioned, we are going to hear from head coach Andre Tourigny. So stay tuned. All that and more is coming your way here in just a moment. And we'll be right back with more. All right. And today's show is brought to you in part by Prize Picks. Prize Picks is the best place to get real money sports action. With over 10 million members and billions of dollars in awarded winnings, Prize Picks has made daily fantasy sports accessible to all. You just pick more or less on at least two players for a shot to win up to 100 times your cash. Run your game all season long on Prize Picks. So you can now win up to 100 times your money on Prize Picks. Get as little as 4 correct picks. Prize Picks invented the flex play, which means you can still cash out if your lineup isn't perfect. You can double your money even if one of your picks doesn't hit. Prize Picks puts their members first, so all withdrawals are fast, safe, and secure. When my picks hit, I can get my money in as little as 15 minutes, which is pretty fantastic. They offer Venmo for quick and easy deposits and withdrawals into your accounts this sports season. So if you sign up today, you'll get $50 instantly when you play $5. You don't even need to win to receive the $50 bonus. It's guaranteed. Prize Picks also offers weekly promotions that can lead to big payouts like Taco Tuesday. Each Tuesday, Prize Picks discounts selected player projections up to 25% to provide even more value for your lineups. So what do you think? What are you focusing on? Do you think that Dylan Guenther is going to get more than a half goal in the next week? What about Austin Matthews of the Toronto Maple Leafs? Is he a more than? Is he a less than? You can cook up your hot takes with your friends and win real money this hockey season when you and your crew run your game with Prize Picks. So download the app today and use code LOCKEDONNHL to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. So again, download the app. The code is LOCKEDONNHL to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks. Run your game. Okay, so as we continue on with the show here, just talking about the pluses and the minuses in this one, looking back over the stat sheet from this one, first of all, Niederreiter is a definite plus for this Winnipeg team. If you go back and watch that goal, so he had 2 in the game, the empty netter to sew things up, that's great. But the goal in the third period, 7.5 minutes into the period, this play starts before all the fancy maneuvering in the offensive zone. Niederreiter is the one who makes the play to lift the stick of the Utah Hockey Club player, and I can't remember who it is off the top of my head, but that allows the play to leave the zone. And so then Niederreiter is the one who then goes down, cashes it in with a really nice move, dekes around Vejmelka, puts the puck home 2-0. And at that point, you could kind of feel the wind come out of the sails a little bit for Utah, but that was the end of that. So Niederreiter did later on cash in with that empty net goal, but great performance. Again, Winnipeg. I will say this, they shut down Kyle Connor. His franchise record scoring streak to start a season, 19 points in 12 games. It's over. They kept him off the score sheet, so that was a big one. That's also a plus, I think, in keeping Kyle Connor off the sheet. That is huge. And so kudos to the Utah Hockey Club for that. Again, I thought Vejmelka was good. Minuses for me tonight, the power play. No shots on the first power play. Second power play, 1 shot. Third power play, 1 shot. That's not going to get it done against any NHL team. That's a definite minus for me. Just need better puck possession, puck movement. And again, sometimes I feel like Utah is a little guilty of looking for the perfect pass instead of the good enough. And I mean, I'm going to turn blue in the face saying this over and over and over, but it's filtering pucks to the net. It's getting bodies to the net. It's taking away the eyes of the goaltender. The reason why these are repeatable things for me, why they're keys to every game, is because the good teams do them. And that's how they succeed. Other goalies have a very hard time stopping what they can't see. It doesn't matter how big they are, how positionally sound they are, they're guessing. You think the puck is going to be here, so you butterfly here. You try to get big. You try to take away the net. You try to seal it off low. These are all things that goaltenders are taught. But if you don't see it, you don't know where it's going. So those are things that Utah needs to do a little better job of taking advantage of. And they just need to shoot. And I'm not saying pick a bad shot, but I'm saying when you have a shot that is an average or better look, there seems to be a hesitancy with this team to take those. And sometimes I feel like they're getting over that hump. Sometimes I feel like watching them, I say, oh, you know what? That was a better period. I think they have it now. And then they don't. So it goes back and forth. Part of it is attributable to a young lineup. We've talked about it before. Younger players, a lot of times, will try to defer. They'll try to make a pass. And Winnipeg was a little guilty of that in the early going before they really started finding their offense. But boy, oh boy, it pains me when Utah passes off on those, especially because they get so few shots. I will say, credit the Winnipeg Jets for doing a good job blocking shots tonight. They did a better job than Utah did. Utah had only 5 blocks the whole night. The Jets had 18. So think about that. That's kind of crazy. 18 blocks for the Jets was a great job by them. So that's a definite plus in their column. So Utah's got to do a better job getting shots through. And the other thing is cut down on the giveaways. 24 giveaways tonight. 5 of them by Ian Cole. That's tough. 3 of them by Nick Schmaltz. 3 of them by Oli Mata. That's a lot. You know, the Jets had 18. No player, as a matter of fact, only one guy had 3. That was Colin Miller, their defenseman. You need to cut down on those. You don't want to see that many giveaways in a single game. So that's a tough one. They did not out-hit the Jets, so only a slight edge, 24-19. And again, face-offs. This is the first game in a while. I will say this, first game in a while where Winnipeg hasn't been as good in the face-off, or pardon me, Utah hasn't been as good in the face-off circle as Winnipeg. They were 46% tonight, Utah Hockey Club, 26-31. So that also contributes a little bit to it. But overall, I just think you saw a better hockey team tonight in the Winnipeg Jets, and that's kind of tough to overcome. And Connor Hellebuyck, again, not tested a lot, but made the saves that he needed to make and gave them every single save that they asked him to make. So can't pick on the guy for that either. That's a very good job by an all-star caliber goaltender. And a guy that I really like. I think, again, when you talk about the Four Nations tournament coming up here, he's got to be the Team USA starter for me. He's playing really well right now. Just, I don't know who's better in the American net. And the Americans are a little spoiled for choice when it comes to goaltenders. Normally, we're talking about other places. Finland is a goalie factory. Sweden has a pretty good crop. Canada has gone a little dry lately, but I think they're starting to rebound. They'll still have some nice choices. But boy, Team USA always had a good crop of goalies, and this year is no exception. And again, I feel like Hellebuyck is the guy who leads that charge. So that's a good look at the pluses and minuses here. And I want to get into 7 defensemen once again as well. So now at morning skate, it sounded like it was going to be Cole that was out, but it was Kolyachonok that was the scratch. Even so, I mean, had it been Cole, I wouldn't have read much into that. Just trying to rotate Bortuzzo back into the lineup, which he was the guy who dressed in tonight. Veteran guy, leadership guy. I think when you sit a veteran like that, even if Cole does end up earning a rest at some point here, that's exactly what it is. It's a rest, and the downside to Utah Hockey Club having to run these 7 defenseman lineups, and Andre Tourigny likes it. And I understand why he likes it, because it distributes the minutes more. And so what it does is it cuts down on the chance of a defenseman playing too much, whether it's a veteran guy who just simply can't give you 25 minutes a night or 20 minutes a night. Maybe he needs to give you 15. Well, how do you do that? You have to assign the other minutes. 7D. That helps. That helps keep the legs fresh. You can rotate guys across situations. Penalty killing, it's very advantageous. And not that they had to do a lot of that tonight, but those are the situations in which 7D help you. It does prevent you from having a full 4th line up front. And the other thing it says to me right now is that, quite frankly, Utah Hockey Club can't roll 6. They don't have 6 defensemen that coach is comfortable covering all 60 minutes of ice time. He feels he needs to spread it out more to not overtax those players in order to get maximum returns from them. So the injuries are big. And you know that already. You know that Dursey being out is big. You know Marino being out is big. But here's how that manifests itself, is in having to go with 7D, with having one less forward option, one less a player to be able to maneuver up and down the lineup. But now you're trying to rotate guys in up front too. So essentially what you're doing is you're double shifting someone from one of the top 3 lines onto that 4th line. Now you can spread those minutes out too. But it is a concern for me, because that, to me, when you're doing this on a much more regular basis, it just says to me you do not feel comfortable with any 6D. Doesn't matter who is in or out of the lineup. You don't think 6D can get the job done on a given night. And that underscores the fact that this team, when missing the 2 players that they are right now in Dursey and Marino, they probably need to replace, if they could, 2 of the other defensemen. And it really depends who, I don't know, with one solid, capable guy. If you could pick up a mid-pack, mid-tier 3-4 defenseman who could eat probably 18 solid minutes a night and give you a dependable response, that player could easily come into Utah and open up some roster space for them to move guys. I could easily see that happening. Not that those guys grow on trees, not that they're easily offered or acquired, but you better believe that you got to pick up the phone and ask. At this time of year, at Christmas, and even beyond, teams are going to start now. I think between now and 20-25 games in, you start to figure out who you are. And some teams are going to think that they don't like who they are. So they're going to try to make some adjustments. Maybe you could be a beneficiary of that if a guy falls out of favor. So just a thought. I would like to see them not run 7D. All right, let's go ahead and pause for just a moment here. And what's important right now to let you know, we're going to listen in on what head coach Andre Tourigny had to say. He actually had a couple of interesting things to say, especially when it came in regards to Utah's performance tonight. I found his comments pretty fascinating. So, all right, we'll jump right into that. And today's show is brought to you in part by FanDuel. Get ready to tackle the NFL action with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Because right now, new customers can bet $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if you win. The FanDuel Sportsbook app gives you everything you need to place live bets on the NFL all in one place. So when you get a hunch in the middle of the game, you can check out the latest stats, view live play-by-play, and so much more on the same page where you place your bets. Just visit FanDuel.com to join today. You'll get started with $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. That's FanDuel.com. Never waste a hunch and make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. All right, wrapping things up here in the Locked On Utah Hockey Club podcast. Tom Callahan here with you. Thank you so much for being a part of things. I want to remind everybody that, we appreciate you making this your first listen every single day. We are on YouTube. We are everywhere you get your podcasts. You can reach out to us on social media. And I am at Callahan on air, on social, on Twitter's the best place to get me, or X. That is actually the best place to find me these days. So feel free to try to reach out there. Also want to remind everybody about the text club. Send a text to 801-760-9033 to get started. We will sign you up. Your first 2 weeks are free. And there's going to be all kinds of fun content in there, including my post-game analysis. I try to drop one of those in there for you every single game. And just taking a look at, what was good, what was bad, a lot like this in a very condensed form. And you get it first when you're in the text club, and that's exclusive to our text club members. So shoot that text over 801-760-9033 and get signed up for the text club. And again, thanks for supporting us here, Locked On Utah Hockey Club podcast. Everything you do makes a difference to us. It makes a difference to me, makes a difference to Robin, whether it's supportive comments, or just saying something, in our chat, or sending us questions. If you want to be part of a mailbag, which, by the way, you can do through the text club. We're going to bring back our Monday mailbag here. As a matter of fact, I'm going to open up the call for it right now for next Monday. If you have questions, please text us. Let us know if you have questions you want to get in that Monday mailbag. But it's just a great way to reach out and communicate with us. So you can basically text directly to us through that, and we're able to respond to you through that as well. So again, we just very much appreciate you being a part of our loyal audience here. All right, let's go ahead and take a listen to what head coach Andre Tourigny had to say. We're going to do that right now, and then we'll come back. We'll wrap things up.
We played well defensively. Offensively, we had great a chance where we didn't connect, we didn't hit the net. We tried to do a little bit too much. I think offensively early in the game we were forcing it a little. I think we adjust well. The boys react well. Second, third period, I think we had good looks. Our execution on our breakout could have been a little bit better, but you said it right. I think defensively we did a lot of good things today against a really good team. I think we were trying. It was more with the puck. I think we were trying to do a little bit too much with the puck. And when you play against a team with super structure, it's tough to get them on structure. So what you need to do, you need to go with shot volume, broken play, those guys, the forecheck. Those are the area where you can get them destabilized, and then the play open up. I think we started to do that in the second period. That we got good result off it. I think in the first, when I talk about a little detail defensively, it's we knew what we were doing on their rush. It took a little bit of time for us to adjust and to react properly at the way they were attacking us. And I think when we did it, we were really good. I think we generate some good looks, but we need more good luck, and that will come from better entries and winning battles. We lost. When we're under pressure, we lose the battle, and it's clear. So now it put a ton of pressure on your execution. if if there's a battle, it will be clear every time. Now, when you have the puck, you live with the pressure of not making a mistake or not creating that kind of a battle, and that is what's killing us right now. We need to win more battles, so we have second and third chance and stuff like that. If you look their power play, the way they scored today, they didn't score on their first opportunity. They wear us down, and at the end of the power play, they got a one shot and they score. If you look how we played in PK, it was excellent. But when you're tired, you get one seam, and the puck end up in the back of the net. I feel bad for him. He was really good, and now it's third time he goes in and we don't support him offensively. I feel really bad for him because he played really solid.
Do you feel like internally you have two goaltenders that you could go to on any night at this point?
Absolutely. I think Veg in the 3.5 years with us, he had an unbelievable game. He's capable of playing every night. It's just the way that our schedule is built right now. We have a opportunity to run with one, but at the end of the month with the back-to-back and that kind of a stuff start, we'll need our goaltender every week. Hey, we're not in that business to get ahead of ourselves. We play two elite team, but we have not much to show for. So the next game is super important for us. It's the team we're battling with in the standing, and we need to get on the winning streak.
All right, that's head coach Andre Tourigny. His thoughts on the game tonight. Again, a 3-0 loss at the Winnipeg Jets. And again, my overall thoughts is, boy, that's a really good hockey team. Winnipeg is a very, very good hockey team. I thought Utah played fairly well tonight. Yes, I talked about some things that they can improve on, but moving forward, boy, that's the gap. And right now, Winnipeg is a class of the Western Conference. That's who you got to catch. That is who you need to be better than in the event you want to challenge for a Stanley Cup. You want to come out of the Western Conference. Right now, the road kind of goes through them. Also, Edmonton is a team I think you could definitely use. Colorado, Dallas, I think they're all going to be there in the end. But right now, the class is Winnipeg, and you just went to school tonight. So, all right, everybody, that's it. Thanks for tuning us in. We appreciate you. Appreciate all of our sponsors who make this show possible. And we encourage you, as always, to go ahead and after you've subscribed to the podcast or the page, make sure whatever app you're using, or if you're on YouTube, you click the bell. That way you get the notifications when we go live. And that way you'll never miss a show. So thanks, everybody. We appreciate you being here, and we will talk to you next time. This is Tom Callahan saying thank you so much for being a part of the Locked On Utah Hockey Club podcast.